أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Once again to Youth and Karbala series with me, your host Sakina Habib on Hidayat TV, and today is the last episode for the Ashra Muharram, being the ninth day. And of course, as the days have passed, we have definitely felt the emotions and the pain and the sorrow that Imam Hussain alayhi salam and his family went through in Karbala. And this will be a lifetime serving lesson for each one of us, that when we attend these majalises during these month of Muharram, they create an effect, a lasting effect, an everlasting effect that will remain in our hearts forever. And hopefully we can learn a lot more than just looking into the historical aspect, but rather more looking into the practical aspect and trying to apply it in our lives. So, before moving on to our continuation from the Osaf al Ashraf series, where we'll be touching upon the topic of the final taqwa, God fearing, I want us to, take a look at another book, which is called Present Over Perfect, leaving behind frantic for a simpler, more soulful way of living by Shona Nyquist. So, this is a very interesting book by Shona, and it is a heartfelt and introspective memoir that explores the author's journey from a life of frantic busyness to one of intentional simplicity and presence. And I felt like this book really resonated to our daily Muharram majalises as well. I mean, I know this is a what do you say, this is like a different book, it's not Islamic as in that way, but there were some points that really sort of touched my heart. And I thought that we should really like sort of apply these things as well in our everyday lives, uh, taking messages from the majalises and lectures, but also being very logical and practical about our everyday life. Okay, so Nyquist, shares her personal struggles with the pressures of modern life. How true is this? We have to like keep aside our daily struggles of our everyday life, and we need to also give time to, for example, these important lectures and majalises and the Hussainiyas, and give time to our family, family commitments and our work commitments, and there's so much going on, right? So that's what she shares. And there are a lot of demands of work, family, and societal expectations. Let me remind you that even when we attend these majalises, isn't there like that pressure of how one is dressed up, how is this person sitting, how is this person greeting, whether they are attending the majalises, whether they're not, whether they're reciting or who's reciting and how they're reciting, and what food was served, was it good, was it bad, the niyaz and everything. Like, there's so much that goes on, right? There's a lot of politics all the time everywhere. So, Shona reflects on how her pursuit of perfection and constant striving for achievement led to feelings of exhaustion and disconnection, actually. So, she emphasizes the importance of prioritizing meaningful relationships, self care, and authenticity over the relentless pursuit of productivity. And she encourages readers to embrace the beauty of being present in their lives, savoring simple moments, and nurturing connections with loved ones, and urging them to let go of the need for perfection and embrace the richness of the present moment. I know this very well about yourself, about myself, and about the communities that we live in, that we want everything to be perfect and like everything should fall in its place at the right time. For example, if your routine goes up and down even a little bit, it sort of disturbs the mind. And then in turn, it has a consequential effect on your family members at home and on your children and on your work. So let's try to take things very, very slow. Let's try to enjoy that moment of presence. We hardly do that. We're always thinking about the past or the present, or the future. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What am I planning for tomorrow? What's going to happen in the next hour? We're thinking about our kids already. Once, like, for example, next year, if they're going to start a new year in school, how is it going to be? I need to pre-plan myself, and we don't know about our lives. We don't know what's going to happen the next moment, in fact. So live in your present moments as much as possible. Give time to your family, give time to your children as much as possible, give time to yourself. That's a very, very valid key point. It's not a selfish point. So Shona says that prioritize presence, focus on being fully present in your daily life. Cultivating presence enhances your relationships and overall well-being. Number two is let go of perfectionism. So release the need to be perfect. Embracing imperfection allows for greater authenticity and joy in your life. And I'm going to share a very beautiful secretive tip actually today in relation to this point of letting go of perfectionism. So the most healthy relationships, I'm talking about like couples, husband and wife, spouse relationships, are those in which you don't really need to be perfect. The more imperfect you are with each other, and the more you embrace each other's flaws, that's where, you know that's what it's like, true love. Basically, you loved someone not because they're perfect, but because they were imperfect, and now you're both trying to, be this amazing couple together, journeying together in this journey of love together, trying to build each other. So that is the whole beauty in that sort of a relationship. And you're more authentic with that person rather than faking it, rather than portraying yourself, being a person that you're not. For example, people do it for a couple of years, but then how many years can you fake it, really? So that doesn't work. You really need to be authentic with each other, so it creates more love and bonding, and it makes you realize that this person actually really loves you without having the fake mask on. They really love you for who you are. So that is very important. The third point is to simplify your life. Evaluate your commitments and simplify where possible. A simpler life can reduce stress and create space for what truly matters. And I'll say that, within our families, within especially our Indo-Pak communities, within our Asian families, we've got a lot of pressure from a very young age to basically be the perfect, kids, to be the perfect students, to be the perfect daughters, to be the perfect sons, the perfect wives, then the perfect mothers, and all of that. But truly, that doesn't work. So let's try to take it very easily. Try to simplify things in your life and not make it very, like bougie style or like very high profile style. Let's just try to keep it very simple. You'll really love your life. You'll enjoy it if you keep it simple without comparing yourself to other people in your life who are the bougie people, for example. So let's not look at those people. Look at people who are, for example, less privileged than you. And thank God that you are at a much better position. And, you will really be thankful to live such a beautiful, simple life. The fourth point is to practice self care, which is an essential part of your life. Taking care of yourself enables you to care for others effectively. So psychologically speaking, mental health, well-being, and all of that, they always say take care of yourself first, fill your cup first, and then give it out to others. So that's true, because if you're gonna fill your cup, if you're gonna energize yourself, then you'll be able to give in quality and better to your family and friends. Then is to savor simple moments. Find joy in the small everyday moments. Appreciating simplicity can lead to a more fulfilling life. There's been moments where we do not appreciate the simple moments in our lives. We are always rushed. We're always rushing ourselves to what's going to happen next, and we lose out on those very beautiful small moments. And then later on, one day, when you're going to become 50 or 60-year-old, laying in your bed without having anything awaiting on your head, without any commitments. Nothing is waiting for you. And that's the time when you'll actually miss those moments. You'll actually miss the those days when basically you were committed, or like you were running around, and you're looking after your children when they were quite small, and you didn't even have time to basically have a hot warm cup of tea or coffee, and you were struggling with that, or with whatever. I mean, this is just an example, but then that's the time when you actually remember that those were the good days where you were doing a lot of running around, and now there's nothing left to do. And you'll sit and recall those moments that wish you could go back in time and replay those moments again, so that you could have spent more quality time, for example, with your child. Perhaps you were too busy in your work and you didn't have time to sit with your child and read a book to them, or do some painting, or take them out to this event that they were really looking forward to, something like that. And then she says is create boundaries, establish healthy boundaries to protect your time and energy. Boundaries help maintain balance and prioritize what's important. And the last point is choose intentionality. Live with intention and purpose. Making conscious choices about how you spend your time can lead to a more meaningful life. So, if you remember, I had even said this in the very first episode, intention and sincerity. When we are attending these majalises of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, we need to have a very straight mindset about why we're attending these majalises, and we need to have a good intention. And do not compare your intention with others. Every person's intention is different. So if you have the right intention for these majalises, then your azah is really kabul. And you're doing it for the sake of Imam Hussein's happiness, then that is the real intention that Imam Hussein needs from you, and not something that has been faked. Now we will move on to our topic of taqwa, which is God fearing. So the whole idea comes back to taqwa and God fearing, and that was Imam Hussein's message to each one of us. And again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Hujurat, verse number 13, that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. That verily the more honored amongst you in God's sight is the one who is more God fearing amongst you. Taqwa means refraining from sin with the fear of God's displeasure and drifting away from Him. In the same way as a sick person seeking health in order to achieve health and cure his disease has to refrain from what is harmful for him and would exacerbate his sickness. So, also a deficient being in the quest of perfection should avoid everything that is contrary to perfection. So it's very simple, right? When you're told that you're sick, this person will take his medications on time. This person will really take care of himself to avoid getting that disease or to get sick. So, in a similar way, if you want to achieve the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to achieve that qurbat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to avoid committing sins. You need to avoid all the gunai kabira and sagira, and you need to avoid all the haram in your life, and you need to do all the good deeds in your life as much as possible, so that you can get closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَّهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That whosoever fears Allah, Allah will appoint a way out for him and will provide for him from where he has no expectation. So if you have that full, certainty, and you have a fear of God, right? When you're fearing Allah, in the sense that you don't want to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way. You see, when you have like a very best, like a close friend, a best friend, or maybe it's your parents, someone who are very dear and close to you, and you are very particular that you do not want to hurt this person in any way. So you will not do anything to displease this person. You will do everything that is going to satisfy this person, that's going to please this person, right? So similarly, this is the element of taqwa that we also find in Imam Hussein, alayhi salam, and his family, that they did everything to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They never went against anything to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in reality, taqwa consists of three things. Okay, so one is fear, the second is avoidance of sins, and the third is the desire for attaining nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the three things that one needs to look into. Number one is to have fear. Number two, you need to avoid all types of sins. And number three is, that desire, that passion, that shock to attain the nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, we did discuss these in our series during these last few days. We went in depth that how can we attain that nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can we avoid these obstacles of, committing sins? So this is the actual meaning. And, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls those who have the fearing of God, taqwa, in the Holy Quran. These people are mentioned as the muttaqeen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the muttaqeen, they far exceed the stage of any creation, any creature in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, these are the chosen people. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves these muttaqeen people, the God-fearing people. And there's a ayat of the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, which says, "Bala man awfa bi'ahdihi wattaqa fa inna Allah yuhibbul muttaqin." So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, nay, but the chosen of God is he who fulfills his pledge and fears God. Indeed, God loves the God-fearing. So again, you see, God is mentioning time and again in the praise of these people who are the muttaqiyun, the muttaqin, that these are the people who have that strong taqwa. And the true lesson that we learn from the story of Karbala, from the whole event of Karbala, is that the final message of Imam Hussain alayhi salam was to be God-fearing. If he wasn't God-fearing, then he wouldn't have taken the right path. He wouldn't have saved the message of Islam. He even went against the tyrant rulers. He didn't give in to their bay'at. He didn't give in to their allegiance. He didn't pledge to their allegiance. He didn't, get swayed in the matters of materialism and greed, and in attaining the throne, the temporary throne. And so these are all the qualities of someone who is a very God-fearing personality. And so we hope that on today's program, we have, learned the actual aspect of taqwa, God fearing, and hopefully we can apply it in our everyday lives. And we have come to the end of our 9-day series. I would like to thank all our viewers for tuning on these. And, if you have benefited from these, then please do keep sharing it as much as possible. And inshallah, I pray that all your amals are accepted during these ayam azal. This is your host Sakina Habib signing off, and would request each one of you to remember me and my family in du'as as well. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.